Hey guys, my name is Cameron Edward Benton. I'm an actor, biohacker, philosopher, and life explorer, and welcome to my show. On today's episode, I'm going to be reviewing this really cool nootropic I got to try called THRIIV. It's by Nootripure Laboratories, if you can see that. I'll try and do a close-up for you guys so you can see a little bit better, show you the back and some of the ingredients. If you are interested at all in this product at some point, let me know in the comments below. So this nootropic is actually really, really cool. And when they first reached out to me, I was pretty skeptical because there's a lot of nootropic companies seem to be merging out of the woodworks. Basically, like, you know, everybody's a cryptocurrency investor nowadays or whatever. Like, everybody's got a new little thing to sell. And so when they reached out to me, I was like, it's probably just a combination of the same basic stuff that, you know, people like Quality are already doing really, really well, or other companies are doing really, really well. And when I first started looking through it and looking at their ingredients and all of that, I'm like, okay, but what's different about it? When I look for a company or I look for a product, I want to know what's different, what's innovative, what are you really doing that's going to add value in a way that other people aren't. And with this nootropic, they're doing something really, really cool. So it's got a bunch of stuff in it that's pretty standard and great as far as nootropics are concerned. We got a lot of great things in here, like that are pretty standard. Vitamin D3, vitamin K2, which are essential nutrients for our body and brain that we're all pretty depleted in because of our soil sucking super badly right now because we just destroyed it without any thought because we didn't know how important our soil was. Getting into all of our farming and stuff like that, especially in the United States where we washed away lots of our topsoil when we were just like paving through and ruined all of our fertile land. Sad days. It's also got a great phenylpiracetam, Bacopa monnieri, alpha-GPC, L-theanine, ashwagandha, blah, 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 blah. So it's got a bunch of great things in here, and I'm going to go through all of those ingredients also, just to kind of give little descriptors about what each of those things do and how they can benefit you and how they're going to benefit you in this nootropic. Again, the nootropic is called THRIIV, so if you want to check it out, again, there's a link below. The idea behind a nootropic is that it's something that enhances your brain function, enhances your memory, or your focus, or your clarity, or your creativity, or your drive, or your confidence, or blah, blah, blah. Like all of these different wonderful things. And some of them, most nootropics out there, by the way, either have lots of things that you don't really need, are really high just basically in choline, kind of what Alpha Brain does, which is why I'm not a huge fan of that unless you really need a choline uptake, which some people do. I don't. I'm choline dominant, and I'll talk about that later if you want to learn if you're choline dominant or not, because that's really, really useful, because if you're just having more choline, it's not going to really help you if you're already producing too much choline for your current system. All that being said, what really separates THRIIV and why I really, really like them is that they have they use a cool cannabinoid structure. So if you're not familiar with cannabinoids or CBD as it's commonly referred to, is basically it's a part of most commonly known is from weed or marijuana. And what cannabinoid does, it doesn't make you high. It has nothing to do with THC. It has nothing to do with that. You can have CBD and it's completely not drug related at all, and you can find CBD structures that are outside of marijuana, which is what they use, so it's totally fine for drug testing for your work and all that kind of stuff. But what CBD really does and why it's really beneficial is, if you've ever taken it before, it gives you this sense of like physical calmness. That's probably a great way of saying it. I said relaxation the other day, and it's not really relaxation because you don't get tired, although if you take pure CBD oil or something like that, you might become really sleepy and drowsy. At least that was some of the effects that I had, and I actually don't like taking CBD too much unless I'm going to go to sleep or something like that, and there's other great sleep supplements, so I don't really find too much of a use for CBD in my natural supplementation. That being said, the CBD structure that they have in this adds a level of calm to your overall body and your mind. And it helps also support in things like healing, both on a physical level. Some people talk about CBD being, anti-cancer and things like that, but also on a mental level and healing traumas, or if you've done any sort of like mindfulness work and like personal development work and you've gone back to old things and seen, this is like why I do the things that I do and the habits that I've formed. Well, CBD helps your brain and your sort of your mind-body connection, really, in solving these blocks that we have a lot of the time. And so CBD helps that integration process. CBD also, because your brain has natural CBD receptors, when it has that, it starts to like up the level of like calm, and it decreases the natural anxiety that a lot of us have nowadays, especially if you live in an urban environment like Los Angeles or New York or Seattle, where we're inundated with all this stuff. And even if you're not inundated with all this stuff, we're inundated with all this social media and all this internet and all this blah, 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 craziness all the time. So we're freaking stressed out in ways that we never used to be, because we used to be, in nature all the time when our ancient ancestors and blah, blah, blah. And those were all great things, and those are really, really beneficial. And we used to naturally get some CBD from our environment as well. And so what happens is, because there's CBD in this nootropic, balancing it with everything else that it has, the effect that I personally experienced is the level of mental clarity and sharpness and focus and increased drive and just like feeling better, because there's some natural like mood boosting stuff in here like ashwagandha, which also helps boost testosterone by kind of relaxing you and that kind of thing. So if you're a guy and you want to up your testosterone level, this will help a little bit, although it's not like pure ashwagandha or anything like that either, which is really useful. And there's other things that you can do to just really enhance your testosterone. But CBD, with everything else that's going on to it, kind of feels like it puts me into a natural flow state within about 30 minutes, as long as I'm focused on a particular task, like right now, where I'm focused on communicating to you, and there's not really any notes that I have, or there's anything like that. Everything's just kind of coming up to me randomly, and it's all snapping through my brain and piecing together so that I can communicate effectively to you, and all that I'm focusing on is the information that I want to share with you. And so that's one of the necessary ingredients for a flow state, is sort of like a hyper focus on a one thing. You can't be being pulled into a bunch of different distractions, or it's not going to really work, unless like that's the single task that you're taking. So if you're like a server working in a restaurant, which is what I have done for a long period of time, this is something that's really useful, because you're handling a bunch of different tasks simultaneously. It's going to be putting you into a physical, calm, and relaxed state that allows you to be present and alert, think quickly without having to struggle or pull for words, because of a lot of the other things that are in here. And it really, really benefits you. I've only been using it for a couple of days, and it's something you want to take every day. It's going to take something, ideally, honestly, when you're going to use it, or if you're going to use it regularly, they kind of recommend 5 days on, I believe, and then 2 days off, and then kind of taking a week off after about 3 weeks of taking it semi-regularly. One thing on noticing the effects of supplements, people are always like, well, I don't know if I feel it. Here's the thing. As far as feeling it, one thing that I would say for that is that if you do a somewhat regular meditation practice, and you are building that ability to be aware, specifically around the sensations in your body, in the way that your mind thinks, in the thoughts and stuff that you get always lost, and you're really like becoming self-aware, you're going to start really getting a fine-tuned sense of your own body's awareness and how it's feeling and operating. And that can be really, really useful in detecting whether something like this works. If you're not really experienced in supplements and doing a lot of awareness work and building that inner sense of like, oh, this is what my body's feeling right now. Oh, I feel alert. Oh, there's tension in my jaw, and that's because of this. And like you start to put those pieces together in your own like little self-awareness chart. That becomes really, really useful for that. And if you don't, you're not going to necessarily have that ability to maybe notice it. So you might not physically notice the same effects if you haven't done a lot of things. That doesn't mean you're not going to be benefit from it. You're just not going to be as aware. The other way you can tell if this or something else is actually affecting you is to be taking it for a little while and then stop taking it and notice what happens when you're done, when you've taken it, when you haven't taken it for a couple of days. And it's like, oh, all of a sudden it seems like things are harder to remember, and I'm like having to search for words, and I haven't had to do that for a while. It's like, oh, that was because you were running on a really, really good system, and now all of a sudden you're back to your old status, and you realize what it's like to not be effective. And so now it's like, oh, that was the positive effects, and I wasn't realizing it because I was so fluid and I wasn't as aware. Now I'm aware of this difference between these two different states. It's kind of like if you've ever tasted wine before. If you just drink a glass of wine and you don't drink wine all the time, it just tastes like a glass of wine to you. But you take a glass of wine and then you compare it to another glass of wine, and then you drink the first glass of wine again, and all of a sudden these things go off in your brain like, holy crap, there's all these little differences between how I taste in this wine and that wine. And it's the same thing between your different body states. With one body state, I'm on fire and I have all these different sensations, and I think better, and I'm alert, and I go to sleep faster, and I'm relaxed, and everything just seems easier and better. And in this other body state where I'm not on these supplements, or I'm not doing meditation regularly, or whatever it is, I am struggling to find words. I'm more unfocused. I'm blah, blah, blah. So that's just a note on that, and I'll probably do a separate video on that at some point, because that's a really, really important thing to be aware of. All right, so let's go through the different pieces of THRIIV, because it's got some really cool ingredients, and I want to talk to you a little bit about each of them. So, like I said, it's got a vitamin D3 and K2, about 2,000 IU of vitamin D3, 200 micrograms of vitamin K2, which are both great for your overall body and brain function. And like I said, because of the soil depletion, we're really lacking in these. So these are really valuable to just get in your system on a regular basis. I supplement with those even without taking this nootropic, and I think everybody should. It's got 250 milligrams of phenylpiracetam. Phenylpiracetam is great. It increases overall blood circulation, increases communication between the left and right brain hemispheres, which is really important for like clear thinking, because if they're not communicating effectively, that creates that inner sense of being conflicted, which you don't want to have. So this helps that integration process. Phenylpiracetam is also great for boosting memory and focus. Like, I'm paying attention to you really hard. It's got 250 milligrams of Bacopa monnieri, or monnieri, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, which is, it's fairly common in a lot of stuff, but they have actually a pretty good dosage of it in here, which is most supplements that have Bacopa don't have a high enough dosage for it to be effective. And this is about like long-term memory recall, which is really cool. And it's something that I wasn't even aware of until I was doing some more research on it before I did this video. And I was like, recently I was actually going like, man, I'm having like really good ability to really like draw up old memories and like remember things very accurately from my past, whether that was information or a specific event or whatever, when I needed it. And just like really easily like recalling these things, even actually while I was exercising yesterday, and I was like really tired, but I was like still remembering these like specific answers to a test that I took and studied for, and was explaining to my personal trainer at the time, and was like literally giving the answers that I could remember and see them off my paper. So it's really, really cool. So it's great if you're going to be doing some personal development work. It's also an adaptogenic that's been used in Ayurvedic medicine for centuries. And it's known to release like muscle tension, add that, again, sense of physical relaxation, and just manage your stress levels really, really well. So I highly love the Bacopa monnieri in this. It's also got alpha GPC. So alpha GPC is basically a precursor to choline, and choline is in essence the fuel for most of your brain's like high level human functioning. So memory, attention, communication, all of that takes like brain energy. And this is a very basic understanding of this. And if you're like advancement, oh, that's not how it works. I know it's not exactly how it works, but this is a basic understanding of this. And choline basically is the fuel for everything that your brain does. And the problem is that most nootropics really focus on choline. And some people, like myself, are choline dominant, and we don't need more choline. But because you're using your brain in such a powerful way with all these other things like the phenylpiracetam, the Bacopa monnieri, everything else that's in here, it's going to use a lot more of that brain fuel. So even somebody like myself who is choline dominant, because it's getting so much extra usage and I'm sort of putting my brain into like an overdrive state, this helps supplement that fuel so that your brain doesn't get tired out, you start losing focus, can't pay attention, and you want to just pass out and go to sleep, or just like zone out because your brain is too fucking scattered because it's just going to go all over the place, but it doesn't have the energy anymore. If this didn't have choline, it'd be kind of like you're playing a basketball game and you have all these really great skills, but you're just tired as all get out. And so you might have the skills of LeBron James, but if you're tired as heck, you're going to end up passing the ball to the wrong player, and you don't want to do that. This also has a really cool combination of L-theanine, which is a relaxer. It's the one thing that we know actually improves your alpha brainwaves, which helps put you into a relaxed state, being alert and present simultaneously. It's like the first level of meditation. L-theanine is something that we used at 40 Years of Zen when I went to really help increase and elevate your alpha brainwave state, so that's really, really valuable. Normally, if you take like too much of that, it can actually kind of start putting you to sleep, so it's great as just a regular supplement in and of itself. It's great to help you relax and go to sleep near the end of the day. However, this also includes NuCaf, which is a really cool caffeine take that's basically has some lipids, so it's similar to like bulletproof coffee in that regard, because the lipids or the fat combined with the caffeine basically creates a slow release effect of the caffeine, so it doesn't just spike your dopamine levels and then you're really alert and crazy and then you crash. What this does, because of the NuCaf in here, it actually releases caffeine over the course of 3 hours. And what that does is, instead of getting this high spike and then you crash down, what's going to happen is you're going to be on much more of like a steady pace. You're going to be up, and then you're going to be up, and then you're going to be up. A normal caffeine uptake is like going on the Superman ride at Six Flags, where it just goes up, and then you come back down. This is going to be much more like a long-form roller coaster, like Colossus, where you're going to be going and going and going and going and going for a long time. And that's going to be really great because you want to have that alert level and like constant stream of dopamine being released throughout your body, so that you're alert and present and confident and able to make quick decisions throughout your day. On the topic of dopamine, the next thing in here that's really cool is Macuna-Purians. Macuna-Purians. I cannot say that word for the life of me. And it's a natural supplement. It's actually like a bean. It has something called L-dopa in it, which is a precursor to dopamine. So if you're someone who, like me naturally, if I'm not running on all cylinders, eating the best foods for me, I can really be dopamine deficient. And that basically is where you're ADHD and you can't focus anymore because your dopamine is running out and depleted. It's also like very common with depression that your dopamine is not functioning right. The L-dopa factor in this is going to supply you with more dopamine. That's going to increase your level of natural confidence. It's not going to make you crazy. You're not going to jump off a fucking cliff, but it's going to put you in a state where you're actually able to be confident and present, allow you to trust yourself, be your best self in situations. If you're going to be public speaking, again, if you're going to go out on a date, if you got to make decisions for your life and you're stuck in an anxiety state, by having more dopamine, you're going to be more confident, make better decisions, and have a better life, quite frankly. THRIIV also has 2 really powerful antioxidants in grapeseed extract, which is one of the most powerful things for reducing adult ADHD, because it's one of the major antioxidants in the brain, and that basically cleans out all of the crap that gets built up and left over from energy usage. Antioxidants basically provide the oil change for your system, clearing out all that dirty used up oil like in your car but that's stuck in your brain, cleans it all out so that you have a fresh system that you're running in all the time, so the rest of your engine and all your pieces in your car run really, really smoothly. Except we're not talking about a car right now, we're talking about your brain. So if you want your brain to really run smoothly, you gotta run on a high level of antioxidants. Another supplement I recommend for that is polyphenomenal by Bulletproof. Dave Asprey supplement is amazing, and I'll do another video on that later. So the other antioxidant it has is CoQ10, which is a really powerful mitochondrial booster as well. And mitochondria are the little power plants or the little microbacteria inside of all of our cells that provide all of the energy for everything that we do. So if you want to be better at anything, you want to feel better, you want to sleep better, everything that you do, it comes from those mitochondria. So especially if you want your brain to function better, increasing mitochondrial function is key to everything, and this has some great CoQ10 to boost those effects. It's also got a little bit of Noopept. Noopept is similar to phenylpiracetam, but where it kind of differs is actually in memory recall. This is really, really great for taking a test, for example, or being in front of people and having to answer questions. Piracetam, in that it increases like memory and things like that, but where it separates itself is that it's better at actually producing recall. So if you want to remember things that is stored in your memory, you might be really, really good at memorizing something and not realizing it, and what you have is bad recall, and Noopept is going to help out with that. Finally, the last thing it has is DHEA. It's just got a pretty like decent small dosage, but that's an effective dosage, and that's going to help balance your hormone regulation. So if you're a man, it's going to help, kind of upgrade your testosterone levels and, help balance out your estrogen. If you're a woman, it's going to help balance out your estrogen and your progesterone, all of our hormones that keep all of our sex stuff. So it's going to up your sex drive and overall sex satisfaction, and who doesn't want that? So that's THRIIV, guys. Again, basically the short version of this is that THRIIV is really great because it puts you in this enhanced, focused, energetic, creative state, and it puts me into this kind of relaxed Zen mode as well. I would equate to being in a flow state pretty immediately, and it's going to help you overcome anxiety situations while also being effective in those situations. So again, if you want a really effective supplement to try out, I highly recommend THRIIV. If you use the link below, you get like a $10 discount, and I think they do a free trial sample. Really cool supplement. Hope you like it. Check it out. Again, my name is Cameron Edward Benton. If you liked this video, make sure to hit like. Let me know what you think about this in the comments, if there's anything you want to know, or if you try THRIIV or have recommended any other supplements, or if there's something that I said wrong in this video. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll make sure to reach out and respond to you in the best way that I can. Also, if you want to see future videos around this kind of stuff, around mindset stuff, whatever it might be, make sure to hit subscribe on the little thing there where it says subscribe. Click that button so you can watch future videos of me doing things like this, or potentially making a fool of myself. Also started the Bulletproof's Human Potential Coaching training. And part of my goal in that is to do 100 hours of paid coaching by the time I complete the program in 9 months. So if you're interested in coaching with me at a currently discounted rate, reach out to me and let me know, and we can set something up. I'd love to see what your goals are and how I might support you in achieving them. Thanks so much for tuning in. Again, hit subscribe, like, leave a comment, follow me on Instagram at CamEdwardBenton, and as always, stay curious.